Most people don't want balance in video games. They want fun and confuse it for balance. Let's talk about it, shall we? Now before you get into the meat and potatoes of this video, I want you to call heads or tails, then flip a coin 10 times. I don't mind. Feel free to pause. I can wait. Now, I'm assuming you likely hit a ratio of 3 to 7, or 4 to 6, or if things go properly, 5 to 5. A couple of you will likely hit the more unlikely margins of 2 to 8, 1 to 9, and maybe a single person hitting a 0 to 10. Whether or not you won doesn't really matter in this example, but do keep that in mind. Obviously you understand because of variance that it isn't a perfect 5 to 5 split for most of you, but the chances of you winning are the same chances as you losing. That is balance. The odds are neither stacked for or against you. For all intents and purposes, you should never win any more or any less, and should hit a sweet spot of 50%. But does that feel satisfying? Sure, you're just flipping a coin, but does it feel good to have your chance of victory literally being a coin toss? Before you answer that, let's expand this point farther out to something that isn't so reliant on luck. In theory, choose your favorite ongoing game, LOL, FF14, DBD, WoW, whatever. Any system that will pit players directly against one another in a PvP scenario. You load into a match with your favorite character, get the counter pick, all your teammates are stellar, and it's a quick and easy stomp. You feel great. You queue in for another, riding on that high, only to get the exact opposite experience. Teammates bickering in champion select, fighting against your hardest counter, your opponent clearly just more skilled mechanically than you, even if you aren't going to admit that, and now you feel terrible. You question why the devs would have such a shitty system in place to allow that to even happen. Why would they purposely target you, denying you your well-deserved rank or points? Like seriously, how do you stay getting these same exact trolls every single game? And why did the devs do nothing to ban or punish them? Clearly they just want this game to die. For most people, and hell, I'm just as guilty of doing this myself, I would queue back in anyway, while utterly forgetting that game 2 games ago where the perfect team was exactly in my favor. I doubt you complained when the chips were stacked in your favor, however. You probably don't remember it. All you remember is the last game where you got fucked over and you wonder when things will eventually get better. Be honest, how many of you out there have had this exact rant I just described? How many of you have that exact scenario of hard rubber banding of amazing game to shit one that made you contemplate quitting? Now here's the real question. Which one of these games was the balanced one? The one you got dogged, or the one you were doing the dogging? Both? Neither? The one you won? The one you lost? Your personal preference would be the deciding factor, but you might already be understanding what I'm getting at here. Oh, well, I don't want one-sided stomps either. I just want games where everyone's on an exact even playing field, and it feels good no matter I win or lose. Do you actually want that? Do you really want games where everyone has the exact same chances to win or lose? And if that was the case, would you be okay losing half your games? Well, no, because my personal skills should factor and be that tipping point to victory. And what if your opponent's just better than you? Just factually and actually better than you are? Sorry to say guys, but most of you aren't Faker, or Punk, or Sonic Box, or Arsenal and Ash, or Hungry Box, or pick any pro from your favorite esport. You're just a random no-name in a sea of millions who think they are better than they actually are. Basically what I'm saying is, you are not that guy. You likely are not him. Main character, you aren't. Sorry.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Okay.
Yeah? Well, then the devs should make it so I actually fight people my own skill level. So like an ELO system, like most games already have. We already know these systems have flaws. You are likely in a system where you feel personally slighted by one. How do you even measure skill exactly? Do you know how many factors would need to be funneled down and traced and looked over to have a perfect system that perfectly and accurately measures every factor of a game to match the perfect skill level every match while also being timely? Even then, let's say by some miracle they did make a perfect system and they said they did. Would you honestly be okay with that system if you were losing more than you won? Would you truly accept that you weren't as good as you think you are, or would you just assume they were lying because there's no way you would be ever allowed to lose this much? Clearly the system is just bad. You're the best player in the world after all. Even ignoring all those factors, let's say they did make some perfect matchmaking system. Humans aren't consistent in anything. We don't do anything the same every day. We don't even go to sleep and wake up the same every day. In what world can we as a species be boiled down to numbers? Have you ever had a game against a matchup you know forwards and backwards, your opponent is a skill level you have beaten before, and through no real outside factors you just lost? You know they aren't any better than what you're used to. You know every single angle, every button pressed, you have run the fight countless times in your head and yet still lost. The opponent didn't get help, they didn't play better, they didn't play worse than your norm, you just lost. Doesn't feel good. You have no one else to blame, but you lost. It sucks. But does that mean the match wasn't balanced? Or did you just mess up? How would a system even quantify that? Now that I've given all these what-if scenarios on why a perfectly balanced system would still be broken, let's cycle back to my earlier question in our coin flipping example. In a perfectly balanced system, you would reach your peak at whatever rank and would sit there at a hard 50% until you eventually improved your micro, macro, or whatever just the tiniest little bit until you can climb once more, which you have already established that a vast majority of people, you included, would likely be at. Well then why are streaks a thing? Because of that exact coin flip point. Let's go back to our data and expand out our numbers even further. Take your initial call out and flip it 10 more times. 20, 30, 100. Please don't actually do this, do it on an app or something. 1 million times. The more you flip, the closer you will likely get to your 50-50. But if you look at your data and extrapolate it out, you will see these strings breaks in logic where you will see 10, 20, 100 flips of the exact same result. It leads back to that humans aren't consistent thing, and quantifying us on a micro scale isn't really doable, especially in a system designed for facilitating as close to balance as possible in short order for the sake of giving people games. Streaks are bound to happen because of that inconsistency in human nature, where that flipping coin will keep landing in your favor, or if you get the bad 50, against. Well, what about trolls then? You can't factor for trolls. It isn't fair that they're on my team and ruin my experience. That isn't balanced. I don't want them in the game. Well, do you actually want trolls gone though? Now, we're gonna have another sit down and be honest moment. You've had trolls on your team, sure. You know you've also had trolls on the opponent team, and I'm willing to bet you didn't report them. Why would you, right? Them trolling got you the win. This is clearly your comeuppance for all the trolls the devs have given you. Yeah, you deserve this. Besides, it's funny when it's happening to other people. If you feel that way, fair, fine. I'm not even gonna say you're wrong for enjoying a win, especially if you came off a string of bad games. But that's you openly admitting that you don't want balance. You don't even want the trolls gone. You just want them to stop affecting you negatively personally. You want personal enjoyment and fun, which we have showcased as the opposite of wanting balance. And honestly, this trolls thing is an entire video in and of itself, but shows that the general populace of gamers cares more about their own experience and enjoyment than they do about getting a truly balanced playing field. So what does this mean? Should we just be happy we are stuck with such systems that no improvements can be made realistically? Should we be content with just losing the coin flip? Hell fucking no! In what world does losing to factors outside your control feel good? That shit is frustrating. You have all the right to be upset. It isn't fun to get on lose streaks, especially when they aren't your fault, and you are completely justified and valid for being understandably upset at them. However, you do have to accept a few things. You aren't as good as you think you are, and the devs likely aren't trying to sabotage you. Okay, EA, Activision are, probably. They have straight up patented a fucked up matchmaking system, but most of them hopefully aren't. It really is just a case of properly designed matchmaking not really being fun. It would place people, the vast majority of people, in the middle, ping-ponging between winning and losing every single match, and that feels terrible. So what are the other side? Just throwing people in no matter what the skill level as quickly as possible. Well, then you have the other side problem of random pros just hard stomping on actual children, and while it is funny, I don't think anyone would want to get stomped over and over and over again. So what even is the point of talking about this? If a perfect system isn't fun, nor would a truly random system be, what is even the point of this entire discussion? I don't know. I guess I want to talk about the difficulties of balance that people don't really seem to understand or realize until they take a step back and look at it from a non-objective standpoint. Oh, also I want to dunk on people who are against skill-based matchmaking. Look, just admit you want to stomp on children for your YouTube highlights. Stop acting like it is anything else other than stomping on kids. Alright, so you know what's going on here. My various end of the video thoughts talking about various things in the video game industry. Not really edited, so if mistakes happen, whatever, I don't care. It just do be. Alright, so it's been a month since I've really uploaded. Sorry about that. Just been gaming, kind of on my own, working, life in general, as it does. So let's talk about some things I've missed during that month that I didn't announce because I'm not doing daily uploads. But I'll be going back to that with my new LP. First off, Concord. Concord came and fucking went. There are literally species of insects that lasted longer than Concord. It lasted 2 goddamn weeks before Sony just pulled the goddamn plug. Now, it's kind of obvious why it failed. Um, if you've been on this channel enough, you understand that a lot of these companies are just trend chasers, so they'll just blindly follow trends without understanding why or what makes them popular. And it's blatantly clear that Concord was made because Sony saw Overwatch money and was like, hey, yo, make an Overwatch, without understanding any of the pieces that made Overwatch popular, being able to capitalize it when the iron was hot, because even Overwatch is starting to fall off now, or actually it has heavily fallen off compared to how it used to be. So much so that it's literally gotten a sequel. And yeah. What's his name? Nerd Slayer? The guy who does like investigation pieces on like video games deaths did a comprehensive guide of all the failings of Concord and to showcase why it failed. So, as it be, go watch that if you want something more in depth. But just the normal suspects of things. Next, Darkest Dungeons developer Red Hook has been acquired by Behavior. I mean, I hope it ends up well. Hope it means that they're able to continue to self-sustain themselves just fine. I'm not the biggest fan of Behavior when it comes to a company, but I mean, if they wanted to and everything goes up well, fair. Next, we have Monster Hunter has now announced all the weapons and has been showcasing more and more of their shit going on from Gamescom and stuff. And yeah, it's looking hot. I might try to go back to Monster Hunter World and like platinum that game. Potentially, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, Ghost of Tsushima has announced their sequel game, Ghost of Yotai, which is apparently taking place about 300 years after Ghost of Tsushima. And it's looking, I mean, I have nothing but the biggest faith in that company, so yeah. I mean, you have like the same anti-woke crowd crying, oh, you're playing as a woman, it's gonna be bad, whatever. But no, I mean, if you played Ghost of Tsushima, you know there was enough bad. Adachi was so fucking cool. So if I get to play as a Adachi-like character, sure, whatever, I don't care. Let's see. What else is happening? Oh, 2 pieces of Yakuza news. We have the Yakuza. I'm not sure if it's a DLC or if it's a whole new game, but we are getting a game around Nijima being a pirate that is literally just a plot line of One Piece. Like, point for point, a plot line in One Piece of Luffy ending up stranded on an island. Random child gives him food or water. Luffy then plans to overthrow local government to repay child for giving him food and water. Because that's the premise. Apparently, Majima ends up stranded on an island somewhere off the coast of Hawaii, and he has no memory. He has amnesia. And he's thought to be a pirate by the child because of his eye patch, only for him to be like, I have no idea who the fuck I am. But he is like, if when in Rome, or I guess when in Hawaii, and he just goes full pirate. I mean, it looks cool, so fuck it. Sure, I'm down. We have, and alongside with that, we have seen the first trailer of the Yakuza live action. And it's not looking terrible, actually. It's looking like, I'm still worried, especially after the comments we've heard so far about like how the actors aren't even allowed to play the games because they want it to be like this fresh take. I'm still worried, but based off the trailers, it doesn't look too bad. I think Kiryu looks a little bit smarter than I expected him to be, but then it's more a younger Kiryu. So you know what? Fuck it. I'm willing to give it a try. I'm especially after the live action One Piece ended up so good. And speaking of that, we have finally seen, if only the back of his head, what Chopper is going to look like. So far from the back of his head, he looks fucking adorable. So I can't wait to see the full thing. What else? Oh, and I know one really cares, but in mobile news, we have some whatever news, and then we have some really good news about people who are going to lose their lives. Simpsons Tapped Out has closed after almost 12 years. I mean, it wasn't a good game or anything, but to see a mobile game last that long is actually kind of impressive. I feel bad for all the people who have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in that game, and it's all just going to go into the ether, though. In other news, in good mobile gaming news, Balatro has dropped on mobile. I'm not playing Balatro. I'm not. Because I know myself. I know if I start playing Balatro, I'm going to get lost in the fucking sauce of that, and I will just lose all of my goddamn life to Balatro. And I have things I need to do. I have work I need to do, so I'm not even gonna start that game, even though it is apparently card crack. Now for the people who have like compulsive gambling disorder, I think they should play that game because it's, hey, look, you can gamble in this game without losing money. So go play Balatro, people. What else? Oh, Deadlock. Deadlock is continuing to putter on, even though it's still in early alpha. But they're doing this really funny thing with the cheaters. So if the game detects that there's a cheater in game, it gives players two options. You can either immediately ban them and kick them out of the game, or if you want to be funny, you can turn them into fucking frogs and it just makes them easy frags. That's how you should handle cheaters. It says, hey, you can either just make them leave or you can punish them. Whatever you want to do, we just left it right there. It's on you, not on us. Hey, we're just gonna back up. You have fun. So that looks fun. What else? Oh god. And let's get to the last piece of good news before we get over to the bad news. City of Wargs, the KOF game, is announcing that they're getting guest characters as well. So Street Fighter 6 is getting Terry and Mai, and they're getting Ken Masters, Chun-Li, and shockingly enough, Cristiano Ronaldo, the soccer player. Yeah. I'm not even sure how that one's gonna pan out. I'm not sure if he's gonna be a playable character or just a background character or a main character in the story. I don't know. You gotta realize that KOF is now owned by Saudi Arabia. Like straight up oil barons over there buying game studios to, allow them to make more money. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is some like marketing deal that has him in the game, but so be it, as it goes. And now let's talk about just bad news in the video game industry. So Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is continuing to bomb. In fact, give me a second. I'm going to pull up what its current player numbers are. Steam charts. Suicide Squad currently has player numbers of 140 people. Jesus, tap dancing Christ. I mean, to be fair, it is 3 p.m. on a Wednesday, but still 150 people for a live service game is really, really fucking bad. For frame of reference, Counter-Strike currently has, as of literally right now, almost 1 million people. And then you have Rust and Ark and Throne of Liberty, Apex Legends, still reaching like 50k. So, yeah, the fact that it's doing that poorly is not a good thing. It's really not. And even worse, so they really need to knock it out of the park if they want this game to not end up like another Concord. I mean, it's already not ended up like Concord. It's lasted longer than Concord. But it's going to die if they don't start doing things and knock it out of the park. And the recent character they released isn't going to help them at all. So the newest character they just released is Lawless. And if you don't know who that is, not surprising. Lawless is Deadshot's daughter. You know, the daughter in most of his stories, he tends to do his crimes for to make sure she has a better life. Well, she's now a criminal. Or a super villain, superhero, kind of anti-hero thing, kind of playing like Robin Hood. But it's just kind of blatantly clear the writers of Suicide Squad aren't good enough writers to make it like well written, because she comes off as a DEI self-insert. Now, mind you, I think the whole anti-woke crowd are fucking morons, and I'll talk about them a little bit later. But like, the fact that she's literally saying things like my body, my choice in her own plotline when it comes to her joining the Suicide Squad and letting Waller put a bomb in her head. And it's like, you guys aren't good enough writers to have this written out and not sounded like you're trying to cram it down people's throat. You have to be nuanced with this kind of thing, or you're just going to give the anti-woke crowd fuel for their fire. So, yeah. Also, the cutscene where she's getting introduced to the Suicide Squad has Captain Boomerang saying, "You're stupid. You don't want to do this. You don't want to end up like the loser I am. Why are you doing this?" Lord. Let's talk. We're gonna pivot a little bit to MTG news, Magic the Gathering, and yeah, if you don't know, in the last 2 weeks now, there was a major shakeup in the Commander playlist. of 4 big players, or actually 3 big players, and one card they probably just banned because they wanted it for the health of the game itself, have been banned. And those 3 big cards are some of the 3 biggest instigators of problems in the format. Jeweled Lotus, Dockside Extortionist, and Mana Crypt were the 3 cards that I think, even like, if you go look at videos, you'll see that a lot of people are like, yeah, these cards should be banned. These cards kind of facilitate issues in the format and kind of like homogenize it. If you're playing red and you're not playing Dockside Extortionist, what are you doing? If you're playing a commander with any amounts of like intensive mana, you need to be playing Jeweled Lotus. There's literally no reason not to play Mana Crypt in your deck. And the fact that these cards were like a must-have if you wanted to get in competitive, most people, or at least like a lot of content creators I've seen, were like, yeah, these cards need to be banned. However, the rules committee, literally a bunch of volunteers who just are trying to make the most balanced like way of handling this and have no monetary incentive to do this, have been getting death threats to such a degree they're like, fuck it, we're just gonna step down, we're gonna leave. And now Wizard of the Coast is handling it. And if you think this is going to be better, you're a fucking moron. It was Wizard of the Coast who printed these broken cards. Do you really think they're going to balance for a sake of like proper healthy competitive? Hell no. They're gonna balance for the sake of money. So congrats, you got what you wanted and the rules committee is gone. And now it's gonna get even more expensive and worse. I hope you enjoyed it in the long run, competitive. Actually, to be fair, I think most people who were probably sending death threats were probably people who were just upset that their stocks in these cards plummeted because they're not legal anymore. But oh, and the last card that got banned was Nadu. If you've seen Nadu play Patterns, you understand why Nadu's been banned. I don't think anyone's really upset about the Nadu ban because it's just entirely understandable. What else? Oh, right. And the big thing that I need to talk about. Nintendo has finally figured out how they can sue Power World, to which everyone and their mother thought it'd be over copyright. And honestly, I feel like if certain pals, they would have a grounds for. I'm still not sure how they're getting away with Verdash. Verdash is unironically just Cinderace, but green. I have no idea how they're getting away with that one. But they're not suing for copyright. No. They're suing for patent. And the thing is, we have no idea what they're suing for the patent of, at least right now. So what people are speculating... Oh, first off, what patent striking is saying game designs and concepts, you aren't allowed to do those because we own them. And you either need to get them out of your game, take your game down, or we are going to sue you into non-existence. And people are seeing and thinking it is from the patent from Legends Arceus, with you running around on a battlefield throwing Pokeballs. To which it's like, really? Yeah, patenting, everyone should want Nintendo. Nintendo's not going to lose the lawsuit because it's Nintendo. And you know they don't do these things unless they have some grounds to win. But you should want Nintendo to lose this because they're not doing it for the good of the video game industry. They're not doing this to make it so that the video game industry is a better place. They're doing this to be able to say, yeah, we don't want competition, so we don't have to work harder. So, yeah. Ugh, I hope they lose. I hope. I know they're not going to, but God, I hope they lose. We don't need more things like the Nemesis system, mini games, and loading screens and stuff like that being patented, so these companies can do nothing with them for literal years, almost a decade now with the Nemesis system, in fact, and just kind of be like, well, no one else can do it, so we'll maybe get back to it. Maybe, I don't know. Whatever. Either way. So I'll be, after this gets uploaded, I'll be starting my next LP soon. It's going to be a game I kickstarted several years ago, mind you. I hope it's good. Here's hoping it's not another Mighty Number 9. Please don't be another Mighty Number 9. Either way, I want everyone out there to have a good morning, evening, day, or night, wherever you're at. But for right now, I am out. Later.